We're here on this special day. Our hearts are full of pleasure. A day that brings the two of you close together. We're gathered here to celebrate a moment you'll always treasure. We ask Allah to make your love last forever. Let's raise our hands and make dua like the Prophet taught us. And with one voice, let's all say, 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 Barakallahu lakuma wa baraka alaykuma wa jama'a baynakuma fi khair. Barakallahu lakuma wa baraka alaykuma wa jama'a baynakuma fi khair. From now you'll share all your joys. Through hardships support each other. Together worshipping Allah, seeking His pleasure. We pray that He will fill your life with happiness and blessings, and grant you kids who make your home filled with laughter. Let's raise our hands and make dua like the Prophet taught us. And with one voice, let's all say, 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 Barakallahu lakuma wa baraka alaykuma wa jama'a baynakuma fi khair. Barakallahu lakuma wa baraka alaykuma wa jama'a baynakuma fi khair. Barakallah, 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 Barakallahu lakum wa lana. Barakallahu lakum wa lana.
Yearly activity, English competition at sub-district Pasar Minggu. Yeah, this morning you are going to show your talent in 5 branches of competition, who not only useful for yourself but also for your country. Okay, this morning we are going to open our activity led by Irene from Junior High School 41. Before we start our activity, let's pray together. We hope that this activity this morning will be run well and useful for you. Please pray based on your belief. Pray, start. Finish. Okay?
Sebelum lomba, mari kita nyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya dalam birama ketukan 4/4. Dalam hitungan keempat, lagu dapat kita mulai. Hiduplah Indonesia Raya. 1, 2, 3. Indonesia tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sana aku berdiri, jadi pandu hidup. Indonesia kebanggaan.
waktu sekolah. Tapi Ibu terima kasih sekali dari Bapak Ibu yang paling dalam. Kalian mau berpartisipasi untuk kelas 8. Ruang 4 dan ruang 5 di kelas berikutnya adalah untuk kelas 9. Lalu untuk storytelling dan speech contest, anak-anak yang mengikuti lomba tersebut ada di lab IPA. Lalu untuk yang English World Magazine ada di kelas 7A. Untuk news reading ada di kelas 7B. Untuk written, anak-anak nanti dilihat namanya, duduknya dari sebelah kanan pengawas nomor terkecil. Anak-anak sekalian, seperti tadi yang Ibu informasikan, untuk written test kalian nama dan urutan kalian Bapak Ibu pengawas nanti yang akan menginformasikan. Ya, sekali lagi untuk kejuaraan di tingkat semifinal written test 1, 2, 3 kompetisi, insya Allah akan Ibu sampaikan hari ini. Tetapi biasanya agak lama karena menunggu teman-teman kalian yang menyelesaikan untuk speakingnya. Kalau untuk written berarti waktunya hanya 2 jam, tetapi untuk yang speaking berarti waktunya lebih lama.
Lalu ada accuracy. Participant read the text with correct pronunciation, stress, and intonation. Jadi accuracy ketepatan kalian intonasi, tekanan, ya, dan pengucapan kata. Lalu performance, read very confidently, loudly, and naturally. Jadi performance itu tampil bagaimana kalian tampil di sini mempercayai diri kalian.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Krishna Hastirito with the English News Service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government would apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Tuesday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days. Staying in Japan is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purpose in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purpose other than traveling, such as for business purpose. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusra Hiza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, the passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consul General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Clover in Surang and Pasaraya, Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of presidential decree to make all of his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending a cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and it's related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates the opening of Pasar Clever in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Abdullah Hazazir with the English news service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally announced as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan, on Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the police will be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passports must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Clever in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is relevant to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates the opening of Pasar Clever in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve the production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Alivia Sabila Putra with the English news service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform, locally known as safaris. Based on the press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said the policy will be applied for a maximum 15-day stay in Japan and it's not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple-entry visa, which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years, from the old policy of 3 years. The multiplier entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes than traveling, such as business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusran Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy, Jakarta, or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launch of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current civil uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a culture-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the morning of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Faiza Finasbiring with the English News Service, bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform, locally known as Zeris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published on Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15-day stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purpose in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes rather than traveling, such as for business purposes. This Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusran Iza Mahendra, said that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japan Embassy in Jakarta or the Japan Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current service uniform, especially when attending cabinet meeting. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a culture-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry, promote and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report and this is Feliza Shafarinjani with the English News Service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting for December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in the other province. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning. This is the morning news report and this is Fatiana Widya Zatalini with the English News Service bring you the last report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. And on the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik or clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan, published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa, which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years. From the multiple entry visa will be applied to the Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purpose other than traveling, such as for business purpose. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National
to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the industry is a cultural-based creative industry and it is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening of Pasar Keluar in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in other professions. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report and this is Adinda Priani. With the English news service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform. Local news are surveys based on the press release from the Indonesian embassy in Tokyo. Japan television Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the police will be applied for a maximum 5
Bapak Ibu pengawas ruang tes soal boleh dibawa peserta. Sekali lagi untuk Bapak Ibu pengawas ruang tes soal tes boleh dibawa peserta ketika sudah selesai dikerjakan. Terima kasih.
Extending the validity date for 2 years. From the old poly of 3 years, the multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purpose other than traveling, such as for business purpose. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusran Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that the acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time traveler, their passport must be registered in the Japanese embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General of across Indonesia. President Elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President Elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Keluar in Jakarta, Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the front of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meeting. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a culture-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening of Pasar Keluar in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
The Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa, which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan,
states that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consul General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya, Blok M South, Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help with the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
This is the morning news report, and this is Natasha Shakira with the English News Service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government would apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japanese published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy would be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Shuran Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board. On the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consul General offices across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated that the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry's profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning's news. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Alia with the English News Service, bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a green visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of free batik policy for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida
said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days, stays in Japan, and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusran Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese embassy in the Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his President-elect Yusuf Kala today, opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially while attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based, creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry profit and improve production of batik in the other provinces. That's all for the morning news. Thank you for your attention.
This is the morning news report, and this is just radio station with English news. Service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum of 50 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japan government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years or extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusran Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply a visa on board. The passport that is acceptable must have identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, their passport must be registered at Japanese Embassy in Jakarta for the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya, Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik youth industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening Pasar Klewer in Jakarta It will help boost the industry provide that improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Bernadetta Darian with the English service, bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. First, Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. Second, on the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing their current uniform locally known as safaris. Based on the press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said that the policy will be applied for a maximum 15 days stays in Japan, and it's not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa, which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have identity certificate. For the first-time travelers, their passports must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. The next news, President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates that opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta, it will help boost the batik industry's profit and improve production of batik in other provinces. That's all for this morning news. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Alea with the English News Service, bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniforms, locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan, published Thursday, the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida said the policy would be applied for a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy of 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for businesses and purposes. Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply visa on board and the passport transfer that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For the first time travelers, their passport must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held to celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari uniform, especially when attending cabinet meetings. Jokowi explained that the batik industry is a cultural-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciated the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry's profit and improve the production of batik in the provinces. That's all for the morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Anissa Titi Salasi Azhara with the English news service bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. On the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers.
Good morning. This is the morning news report, and this is Audrey Asidia Ismanto with the English News Service, bringing you the latest report from home and around the world. Japanese Foreign Affairs Minister Fumio Kishida has announced that the Japanese government will apply a free visa policy for Indonesian citizens traveling to Japan starting from December 1st, 2014. At the National Batik Day, President-elect Joko Widodo plans to install a new rule of wearing batik clothing for all ministers, replacing the current uniform, locally known as safaris. Based on a press release from the Indonesian Embassy in Tokyo, Japan published the Japanese Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida says that the policy will be applied to a maximum 15 days stay in Japan and is not valid for Indonesian citizens with working purposes in Japan. The Japanese government also applied a multiple entry visa which is valid for 5 years, extending the validity date for 2 years from the old policy 3 years. The multiple entry visa will be applied to Indonesian citizens who travel to Japan for purposes other than traveling, such as for business purposes. The Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Yusron Iza Mahendra, stated that the new regulation was a very good news for Indonesia. To ease the immigration system, the Japanese government will apply a visa on board, and the passport that is acceptable must have an identity certificate. For first-time travelers, their passports must be registered at the Japanese Embassy in Jakarta or the Japanese Consulate General Office across Indonesia. President-elect Joko Widodo, accompanied by his Vice President-elect Yusuf Kala, today opened the launching of Pasar Klewer in Pasaraya, Blok M, South Jakarta. The event was held by celebrate the National Batik Day. Under his new government, Jokowi plans to install a new rule in the form of a presidential decree to make all his ministers wear batik and replace the current safari
Surabaya-based creative industry and is related to millions of batik makers living in all Indonesia. Jokowi appreciates the opening of Pasar Klewer in Jakarta. It will help boost the batik industry's profit and improve production of batik in another province. That's all for this morning news. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Ayatnya kreatif banget.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jesus. I've been here to tell the story of from West Sumatra. It is my long time ago in a small village near the beach in West Sumatra. Lived a woman and her son. Live of letter when the So he was already a lonely man. So he said to his mother, "Mother, I want to be a rich man." But finally, she agreed. Though we thought, don't you forget about your mother and his beloved son. In countryside, Balin worked diligently. We had a lot of merchantship with men of more than 100 people. After all, and then Balin had a girl to be his wife.
Untuk pertama kali Ibu ucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi atas kesediaan kalian hadir di SMP 2019. Ibu mohon maaf ketika ada hal-hal yang tidak membuat kalian nyaman di sekolah ini. Inilah keadaan di SMP 2019. Untuk tahun depan mudah-mudahan sekolah lain nanti bisa mengadakan. Kita berputar dari tanggal 7 karena kita sama-sama di satu kecamatan Panggung. Anak sekalian, untuk kelas 7 juara 3 untuk Ritten dengan nilai dari SMP Negeri 41 atas nama Amalia Azhara. Ya, boleh. Untuk juara 2 Eksyan dari SMP 56. Kepada Eksyan, saya persilakan. Gak ada. Lalu dari Nagita dari Seraya. Ya, benar. Ya, silakan kepada Ibu An, Ibu Siti Nurang, Ya, juara 1 kelas 7. Kenzi. Ya. Juara 2 ya. Senyum. Silakan Aulia. Dari SMP 18. Asisa dari SMP kelas 1. 41, silakan Anda dulu untuk mengambil pialanya. Kelas 8.
18 mewakili.
Azara, Rama, Danita, Mas Olu. Ya. You are dinner now. Kalau sudah diambil.
Salam dulu. Juara 2 kelas 1 ya?
Juara 3 kelas
3 Eva. Ini apa?
Apa nih?
Speed contact.
Speed.
Swasta, juara 1 untuk news reading Julius Jason dari SMP Strada. Juara 2 Hanati Faridina dari SMP Sulu. Bu Okti untuk Sulu. Oh masih ada. Ya untuk juara 3 Tresna Hasti Dito dari SMP Sumbangsi. Sudah tidak ada. Negeri. Juara 1 Zafira Haiza dari SMP 18. Silakan ke depan. Juara 2 Rahel Wilmina dari SMP 163. Oke, Ibu saya minta ya, saya minta tolong untuk memberikan.
Juara 18 ya?
Ya.
Congratulations.
Udah mulai.
Second winner. Oke, kok nggak ada yang tepuk tangan?
Satu lagi masih satu cabang lomba.
Ini satu lagi di sini.
Swasta. Bantu, makasih banyak.
Iya, terima kasih Pak. Ya. Iya.
I'm the winners of news reading contest.